What is good, Danger Zone Boxing Talk? It is BC Left Hook. Here today with a special guest, Daniel Cruz. He runs Southpaw Combat Sports, has a YouTube channel. Want to tell everybody where they can follow you at on all your social media real fast?
So on Instagram, you can follow me at Southpaw for Life. We're going to do the number 4. So Southpaw number 4, LIFE 91. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel, Southpaw Combat Sports. And if you got TikTok, I'm also on there, Southpaw Combat Sports as well.
Absolutely. And as I was telling you when we were before we went live, I really enjoyed your MMA journey, following on Instagram and everything, and mad respect for that. So this before we get in, what originally got you into boxing?
So I mean, I've always been very, very, and you can see me in videos. I'm a heavyweight, bro, but I'm not built like a normal heavyweight. You know what I mean? Just like Andy Ruiz, I've always been chubby. Yeah, oh yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. But you know, I've always been a chubby kid. Not you know, I'm not shaped like Anthony Joshua. I wish I was, but I'm not. So you know, I used to get picked on as a kid. Oh, chubby this, fat man that, blah 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 blah. So, you know, eventually one day when I was, I think I want to say like 11 or 12 years old or something like that, I got, this might be a funny story for you, but I was really big into Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, right? So I remember I got this like Yu-Gi-Oh card from this one kid, and it was so funny because I ended up losing it. It was his card. I was just borrowing. I ended up losing it. And he was, you know, a much bigger kid than me. I still remember his name. His name is Price. Man, if I ever see him again. But anyways, so I lost this card, and, you know, he was pissed off about it. Actually, pretty much ended up beating me up in front of everybody, all the kids, made me cry. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but he dude literally made me cry. So after that day, you know, like I told my dad about it. And he's like, you know what, man, I'm gonna put you in boxing. Like you got to learn how to defend yourself. And yeah, around like 12, it was either like 11 or 12 or something like that. I was very, very young, man. He put me in there. And I just fell in love with it. My first fight ever was Jermaine Taylor and Bernard Hopkins. So that's the first fight I ever saw in my life. And I fell in love with it, bro. I fell in love with it. And as I progressed over time, had, you know, fights with USA Boxing, competed in Smokers, you know, sparred some of the best fighters in Connecticut. I just wanted to challenge myself more. And that's when I was like, you know what, let me try MMA, man. And that's a game changer, bro. No matter how good you think you are with your hands, nothing prepares you for that first leg kick to the thigh, bro. Whew, let me tell you.
Yes, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed watching your some of your sparring videos, hitting the bags. You know, I was impressed because, like you said, no disrespect, you are a big boy, and to see you kicking, I was like, man, hey, man, homies getting it in, man.
Yes, sir.
I
appreciate
that.
you,
What everyone else does, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
No problem. Let's jump into our first topic. We're going to talk about the announcement from Bob Arum stating that Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk have reached an agreement to fight next. A fight that we've all been clamoring for since Usyk took the straps from Anthony Joshua. It was a fight that we didn't think we might get because, you know, Tyson had retired. Then he came back and he fought Chisora. So it looks like we're going to get it. How do you see that fight going?
So first and foremost, I almost want to say that I just feel like Tyson Fury, I was never really a big fan of him, you know, before coming back and beating Deontay Wilder. I just felt as though he was just like a guy that just kept retiring, unretiring. That shit got it got boring really quickly. So I was never really a big fan of him. He came back, you know, I liked the story about his, you know, beating suicide, depression and all that cool stuff. But Tyson Fury lately has been pissing me off because I feel like he lies so much, and I feel like he's a clout chaser. You know what I mean? He's gone multiple times to say that he does not want to fight Olexander Usyk, that he's only interested in big fights, yada yada yada. So what I'm trying to say is pretty much I don't think this fight is going to happen. I really don't think so. I hope I'm wrong. I want to see it. But to answer your question, if this fight indeed does happen, which I don't believe it will, hopefully it does. I got Tyson Fury winning this fight fairly easy. You know, he's just too big. The guy is 6'9", 6'10". Usyk, as skilled as he is, he did beat down Anthony Joshua, but Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? Like, this is a whole different. Tyson Fury is Alexander Usyk if Usyk was 6'10". You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I honestly, it's gonna look similar to the Dylan White fight. I think he's gonna put on a better fight than Dylan White did. But what I'm trying to say, I think this is gonna be pretty easy. Ones and twos all night. I think he's gonna outbox him pretty damn easy. I don't think Usyk has the ability to really deal with a guy who's 6'10" that can move very, very quickly, move very good, very defensively sounded. I don't think he can compete against a guy like Tyson Fury. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I could be wrong. But if I'm going based off of the eye test, I can't see it.
I agree with you. Actually, I'm a big fan of Usyk. I followed him even when he was in the World Series of Boxing. Big fan of the guy. If this was 20 years ago, he would be. This is how far we've come. 20 years ago, he would be considered a big heavyweight. Today, he's considered a small heavyweight, and it's a detriment to him. Skill wise, I think he's more skilled than Fury. But again, it comes to the part he is smaller, but he's been able to overcome that so far. But none of the guys he's fought is Fury. I'm just interested to see how Fury approaches it. If he's going to fight off his front foot the way he did against Deontay Wilder and the other, the two fights, or is he going to be more of that boxer again, which we saw versus Deontay Wilder in the first fight?
I think if you're asking me, just based off of the last couple of performances that Tyson Fury has had since his third fight with Deontay Wilder. He's been boxing a lot more, against Derek Chisora, but that also is because they're friends too. That also probably why because he could have stopped Derek Chisora. There was a couple of times where I felt he took his foot off of the pedal, but that's probably because they're really good friends. So I understand it. But against Dylan White, he was boxing very, very well. So based off of the last two performances that he's had, I think he's gonna try to outbox Alexander Usyk. Honestly, I don't think he really needs to come forward against the Usyk like he had to do against Deontay Wilder, because he tried moving back with Wilder. It was working for the most part, but then he ended up getting caught. And I think he realized, in order for me to break this guy down, I got to come forward, because he doesn't know how to fight very well moving backwards. So against Usyk,
let me cut you off. But I think that when he got up in the 12th round, and he figured, now I got to, because the first fight, when he got up in the 12th round, before that, he was like, well, I boxed off my back foot the whole fight. He's dropped me twice now. The cards could be close. So he came forward. And when he started fighting, coming forward, he realized, this dude has no answer for me. And that became his game plan. And remember, he told all of us, I'm going to come in this fight. I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to come in heavier. All that. We were all like, oh, bullshit. You're going to come in and knock him out. And then he did it.
Yeah.
I'm saying, wow.
But I think against a guy like Alexander Usyk, that's not the right approach to take, coming forward. Because let's just be real here. Alexander Usyk is a million times more better than Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean?
He's more agile.
Deontay Wilder, if Deontay Wilder didn't have the right hand, you know what I mean? Like I don't think he would have really been anything big. You know what I mean? His power always saved him. But Alexander Usyk has it all. He's got power. He's got speed. He's got defense. He has everything. He has everything to beat Tyson Fury. But I don't see it happening. I think, honestly, it's just, if both guys were the same size, if Tyson Fury was 6'2", Alexander Usyk is 6'2", I believe that's his height. If both guys were 6'2", I'm picking Usyk all day. All day. But it's just the fact that Tyson Fury is huge, honestly. And, a guy that's that big, that's that skilled, it's hard to beat him. It really is. I don't think Usyk is the guy to beat him. I don't.
So where should the fight happen? So I know you said you don't think it is, but should it? And should Tyson, even if he gets a decision, but should he stop him? Where should we look at Tyson, in your opinion, like all time?
All time? The only problem is I have a problem ranking guys in my top 10 like greatest of all time that have tested positive for any banned substance. I don't do it. To me, there's no excuse. I don't care if he claimed bore me, which I think is, BS anyways. That's why I'll never have a guy like Canelo. I'll never have anybody who has any history of cheating in my like top 10 of all time. So to answer your question, where would I rank Tyson Fury if he beats Alexander Usyk? To me, he's got to go out. He's got to also beat Anthony Joshua. Now, if he beats those two guys, which I think he would, he's not in my top 10. I'll tell you that much. But I could probably put him on my top 15. Like I said, man, anybody who cheats, I can't have him on there. I just can't. So top 15, I'll probably put him on my top 15.
So staying in the heavyweight division on a topic I didn't write down, but as a guy we spoke about, actually two guys, Ruiz and Wilder, and they looks like they're going to fight. I think the WBC mandated that fight between the two. The winner should get Fury. Not a lot of people are giving Ruiz much of a shot. I think that if he gets inside, it could be a long night for Wilder because, as you stated, as much as I like Deontay Wilder and as much as I appreciated his run, he was that right hand. To me, he was losing both fights to Ortiz. The right hand saved him.
Yep.
I would argue that he was well on his way to losing that fight with Fury had he not got that knockdown in the 12th. That, in my opinion, made it a draw. I actually think Fury won the fight, but I'm saying that on the scorecards, it made it a draw.
I'm in agreement with you. In my eyes, he's 3-0 against Wilder.
Yeah. Do you give Andy Ruiz much of a chance to pull off the upset versus Wilder?
You know what's interesting? What's interesting, after Andy Ruiz had beaten Anthony Joshua, I actually went on record saying that I feel like Andy Ruiz could beat Deontay Wilder. Now, that was based off that performance that night. Ruiz looked as sharp as he's ever looked. But come the rematch, he's 300 pounds. You know what I mean? He's 300 pounds. He's not really taking this fight serious as much as he said he was. The hunger left him. You know what I mean? He was partying every day. He was buying mansions. I don't blame him. You give a guy $30 million the first time he's ever seen that type of money. What do you expect? He's going to go crazy. So, and based off of his last couple of performances, especially against Luis Ortiz, where he was getting tagged from a distance, he was getting tagged often. And I know Luis Ortiz is much more technical than a Deontay Wilder, but I will say this. Deontay Wilder keeps his distance very, very well. I know we like to joke around and say he's not really that technical, which for the most part, he really isn't. He's not somebody you go to learn the fundamentals of boxing. But when it comes to his control of distance, I feel that he's very, very good at that. And Andy Ruiz is a guy that he doesn't often get on the inside right away. He kind of likes to, sit and bait, move his head often. And the thing is, Deontay Wilder always lands that right hand. No matter how good your head movement is, no matter how good your defense is, no matter how good you are, he will land that right hand. So, do I give Andy Ruiz a shot against Wilder? Possibly. The last couple of performances has kind of like make me not believe in him anymore. I wouldn't put money on Andy Ruiz to beat him, though. I'll give him a chance, though. There's always a puncher's chance. He might have another Anthony Joshua situation. You know what I mean? But if you're asking me, am I putting money on Andy Ruiz to beat Wilder? No. Am I putting money on Wilder to beat Ruiz? Yes. So I don't give him a chance to beat Wilder. Very tiny, small chance. So I'm going to say I have it in favor of Wilder 90-10. You know what I mean? I gave Andy Ruiz a very, very small chance, just simply because I don't think he's as hungry as he once was. I don't think he works as hard as he used to. He hardly throws combinations like how he used to before. You know what I mean? And I think that Deontay Wilder will always land that right hand.
I agree. I think most people's sentiment is going to be that Deontay Wilder at some point is going to knock Andy Ruiz out. Excuse me. But we'll jump into our next. I was kind of shocked by this earlier this week, and that was hearing that Jose Ramirez had rejected a title shot with Regis Progais at 140. kind of shocked me. But then I kind of heard his reasoning. He's saying he's worth more than $1 million. But here's my thing: is I get what he's saying. He fight, be what you're worth. But at the same time, sometimes you got to give up concessions to get the fight later on. Like, you saw Floyd do it with Oscar. He gave him everything. And now then he took everything when he won the fight. You saw it with Kambosa and Devin Haney the first time around. He gave in everything. He went over and he did what he did. And I get what you're saying, but you may not. This may not come back around again. I'm sure Jose Ramirez at some point is going to get another title shot, but who knows what it could be? What happens if he turns this down? He gets into a fight with what we call a cherry, and he loses. Now you got to win some more fights to get here. I get it, but it's hard to swallow. Like, dang, $1 million is a lot of money, bro. Like, I'm worth more than $1 million. What do you think of that, man?
So somebody told me on Facebook, and I don't know how true this is, that Jose Ramirez actually and I'll quote what he said. He said, "I heard that Jose Ramirez was the one who won that split. He just doesn't want to fight Regis." Now, I don't know how true that is. But to be quite honest with you, a lot of people are calling it a duck because everybody loves to throw that word around, duck. And personally, I don't see anything really wrong, because the thing is this: the same people that are telling me that Crawford picked Abneezen because it was the best offer he had, and he was worried about money, blah blah blah, are also bashing Jose Ramirez for not taking an offer he felt was not enough for him. You know what I mean? So I don't really blame Jose Ramirez. If true, I don't blame Jose Ramirez for not taking the fight because he feels like he's not getting what he's worth. Because you got to remember, Regis Progais is a very, very high risk fight. You know what I mean? High risk. We don't want to do low reward. We want high risk, high reward. Did I lose you? Yo.
No, I was here. I was hitting.
Oh, okay. My bad. But like I was saying, bro, Jose Ramirez wants a high risk, high reward fight. Realistically, he probably loses to Regis Progais, and he probably knows that. Against Josh Taylor, he got demolished. Taylor in Progais was a very, very competitive, pretty close fight. So I don't really like to use a triangle theory because it doesn't always apply in boxing. But I think Jose Ramirez understands that there is a very, very high chance that he could lose, and probably loses to Regis Progais. So he wants to get paid as much as he can. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have a problem with it, to be honest with you. I wouldn't call it a duck. But then again, I don't really know what the details are. I mean, do you know if that's really what happened? Like, did he win the purse?
I have no idea. That's the first I had heard of that. If you kick me a link on that, I'd appreciate it, because I like to be as informed as I can. It's just a bad look to me. And then you got Teofimo Lopez and his people saying, we'll fight him in, I think it was April. We'll fight him in April. I don't even know if that's a good idea. And I like Teofimo. I like his daddy. But let's get into the look that he gave after that fight. It was a very close fight. Some people thought he lost.
I thought he lost the fight. I thought Martin won that fight.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And to catch him in the corner, asking his people immediately after the fight, do I still got it? Is a bad look. Now you're going to put him in the ring with Regis Progais, who is a monster in his own right, a knockout art, and he's going to get fucked up if he's not mentally there. And they can get I have much love for their camp. They invited me behind the scenes one time. He's going to get fucked up if he's mentally like that. Do I still got it? He's going to get fucked up, man.
I mean, look, that's honestly something you don't ask that in public. That's something you ask behind closed doors. Do I still got it? You know what I mean? Is that, I don't know why he would even dare to ask something like that, knowing every camera was pointing at him. It just kind of sounds like Teofimo Lopez doesn't believe in himself. You know what I mean? Why are you asking, do I still got it after a victory? Which, by the way, you claimed that you actually won the fight because he was running, right? So why are you asking, do I still got it? You said you won the fight. You said you won it clearly. You know, you said the other guy was running. So why are you asking, do I still got it? You know what I mean? So I thought Martin won that fight.
Mental help.
Yeah.
I think that he really does. He's spoke about it in the past, and he's had a lot of things go on in his life lately.
I want to say something about that mental health situation. So I've never heard any fighter from the past ever use mental health as an excuse. You know, we have these fighters that are Generation Z, Gen Z, I think that's what they're called. And it's often a lot of these guys that are in their early to mid 20s that are constantly saying, oh, my mental health, my mental health, my mental health. And I understand that. I mean, it's a real thing, you know, and like not to joke around with anybody, but you never heard those guys like Ryan Garcia, Juan Manuel Marquez never claimed, oh, mental health when he fought Timothy Bradley. You know what I mean? He never pulled out of a fight against Juan Diaz and claimed mental health. You know what I mean? Like these guys were warriors back in the day. You never heard of that shit. But now, like, that's all you hear now. It's like Ryan Garcia's mental health. Tio Garcia got mental health. Danny Garcia got mental health issues. It's like, yo, like, everybody knows that boxing is 90% mental, bro. You know what I mean? So if you're having mental health issues, this sport probably isn't for you. You know what I mean? That'll get you hurt real bad. And Teofimo Lopez, like I said, asking that on live TV and having the issues with his baby mama or his wife, whatever she is at right now, it's a bad look. Like I said, that's something that if indeed is happening, like you really are battling mental health, bro, that's something that you don't publicize. You know what I mean? Because people poke fun at you. They start to say, oh, he ain't got it no more. You know what I mean? That's something that stays private, in my opinion, and especially asking, do I still got it? That's something you never, ever say in public. That's behind closed doors all the way.
Agreed. So I think on this topic, we're both in agreement. I don't necessarily think it's a duck either, but I just don't think it's a good look for Ramirez not to
Absolutely
take this
not.
fight.
Absolutely
Especially if what you said you heard was true. That's a really bad look.
If that's the case, if he indeed won the purse split, then that's a duck. That's a blatant duck. For sure. You know?
And we use that term too much. We throw it around.
We do. We do. But I'll say this though, like, listen, when a guy knows that it's a very, very big chance that he's going to lose the fight, usually he wants as much money as he can. I can't knock him for it. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Real fast, I want to send a shout out to Clarence McLean. What's up, Clarence? He's got a podcast, McLean Promotions. He does very good. John Boy Belton, he said exactly the new mental health excuse to me is a duck tactic. No disrespect to mental health, struggling people and or fighters. I do know this.
That's what I'm saying.
It could be because of the shots everyone's taking. But remember when COVID first hit, everybody had COVID. I got COVID. We're pulling out of fights and everything else. So I don't know. We'll see.
No, I honestly, like, I don't know, man. I don't want to say like it's an excuse because I know it's a real thing. But honestly, I'm in agreement with John Boy because it feels like this is the new excuse to use. Like when you don't want to fight a guy, you claim mental health. You know what I mean? And don't be surprised if the Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis fight gets canceled and Ryan pulls out due to mental health issues. Like, I don't know. To me, it's just I don't want to say it's an excuse, bro, but if you have mental health issues, this sport is not for you because it's 90% mental. You know what I mean? 10% physical. That's just what it is.
So let's jump into our next topic. This is something I found interesting. I seen it hit my newsfeed yesterday or the day before, and it was concerning the former female heavyweight world champion who was stripped of her title almost immediately after for failing a drug test. Now, she'd been on a long suspension. And immediately after her suspension, it appears she's retired. And her reason is female boxer retired from the sport after accusations made that she was born a man.
Oh, my God.
The reason that I found it so interesting is that this was the reason she chose to retire. And look, however you live your life, you live your life. I think that transgender and gay people should have all the rights that normal people, you know, I don't want to say normal, but like, you know,
yeah, I get what you mean.
Heterosexuals have. They shouldn't be treated bad. But when it comes to combat sports, I do not believe that a man who transitions into a woman should be fighting women. Fallon Fox for instance, is an MMA fighter. She literally broke a woman's skull.
Yep.
Transition. Oh.
And you know what's interesting about Fallon Fox? The only girl to ever beat her, I think her name was like Ashley something. The only girl to ever beat her went on an interview and said she would never fight her again because every time she got hit, she felt like she was getting hit with stones. You know, and that's Fallon Fox taking all the estrogen that she can possibly take to that you know it brings down your power and all that, like all the masculinity that you have brings it, all that estrogen brings all that shit down. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Like imagine like she didn't take any of that stuff, and you know what I mean. So it's interesting that you bring up Fallon Fox because I actually just saw that interview a few weeks ago, and it was interesting to me because I said, man, she beat her so easily, but you know, she's claiming that she would never fight her again because every time she got hit, it was you know, it was rocking her. Not surprising, but yeah, I'm in agreement with you, bro. Listen, to me, is if you're a transgender, and you're a combat athlete, I feel as though they should have a separate organization. You know what I mean? Like transgenders fight each other, so you know that way there's no excuses, no ifs, ands, or buts. No, oh, she only won because she's really a man. You know what I mean? None of that. So I feel as though, but that's funny. Born a man.
You would think that she would want to. If she says it's not true, but if it's not true, you want to stick around. And here's my thing. Okay, if God forbid we're gonna allow it. Because no matter, at the end of the day, bro, no matter what me and you say, the WBC, WBL, the WBA, they're going to do whatever they want.
Right.
Do whatever they want. So apparently they've allowed it. Because I've seen a woman who transitioned into a man, fight a man. And I've seen, you know, in MMA, so it looks like they're going to allow, then at least tell the women. Don't you think these women have a right, if they're fighting a man or a transgender female, they should have the right to know, hey, you're fighting a transgender female, so they can make the choice. Do I want to risk this?
So, but doesn't Alejandro Jimenez have a son or a daughter? I think.
Well, how this started was she fought Clarette Atwell, who was the multiple-time world champion, and after the fight, her opponent came out and said, "Well, I fought a man," and Apparently, she had done her research. I went and I looked this up, and I found some articles from a couple years ago when all this transpired. Because this is like 2 years ago that she said this is a guy, right? And apparently, she has found some type of proof because I know he was born a man and transitioned into a woman, right? And again, Jimenez is I believe her and her partner are married. They do have a child. It's just like, again, if you were born a man and you transitioned into a female, I think the female athletes deserve the right to know. I don't think it's fair. I'm just going to be real. I don't think it's fair. Look at the swimmer. The guy he was like, sure, he could beat me. He could beat you with swimming. But he was like one of the lowest rated swimmers on the circuit. He transitions into a female. He goes over there and now he's one of the best female swimmer. Imagine being a fucking 19-year-old girl. Your dreams go to the fucking Olympics. You do this since you're fucking 10 or 11. Only to get beat by a freaking man. Yeah, I would be shitty if I was that female.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. But honestly, like, I don't know. Like, I'm looking at pictures of Alejandro Jimenez before she lost all the weight, and I don't know. She doesn't, to me, at least to me, if you're asking me, she doesn't look like. I wouldn't look at her and be like, yo, she a man. Like she got a fupa, bro. You know what I mean? Like. Before she lost all the weight, she had a whole fupa, man. So I don't think she's a man, but I could be wrong. I don't know. You know what I mean? Listen, it's hard to tell nowadays, bro.
To me, it sounded like a cop out because that shit was said like 2 years ago, and then you get caught using PEDs and you get suspended, and then you get off your suspension, and instead of saying, well, the suspension took a lot out of me, because we both know you take a year out, you can be done. You can be done. She took, I think her last fight was in 2020. Almost 2 years off.
Yeah.
What? But to come out and blame, like, well, the accusations that were made 2 years ago, got to me, and I just want to quit. And you know what I mean? So it was weird. It was an interesting topic I seen pop up. I wanted to get.
Listen, I'm gonna say this. I don't think it's true. I don't know what you believe,
Yeah.
but just based off of the fact that she's a mom, number two, and just looking at pictures of her before she got this like muscular physique, like when she was fat, or chubby, whatever. She doesn't have to me she doesn't have any manly features. Like typically, you could tell a trainee from a mile away. And honestly, either she's number one, extremely very good at hiding it, or two, she is a woman. I don't see, and I'm looking at pictures of her right now. Like I'm on Google,
and that might be the case with her. For me though, the reason I want to talk about it wasn't simply just because of her. I just state that I think it's something we're going to see in the future a lot of, because unfortunately, look at our society, where our society's going.
Yep.
It's more and more socially accepted, right or wrong, however you stand on that, but that's the truth, right? And I think there's something we are going to see, but I just think that if they're going to allow transgender athletes to compete against women, they need to let the women know, hey, you're going to be competing against a transgender
absolutely.
athlete.
Absolutely.
Tom Boy says, I am a fighter consultant. The amount of human beings that are in this game to get an advantage of superiority is very sickening. From drastic weight cuts to fight smaller opponents or PEDs, different genders sneaking in divisions that they don't belong in is the new norm. No disrespect to any community. Now he stated he's involved in the sport. And this is something I'm telling you, I foresee it being something we're going to be talking about in the future, is because of the way our society is going. We're teaching children now when they're, in grade school that it's okay to, do whatever you want. So
yeah, right.
Again, I don't have a problem with it.
Let me ask you this before we move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Do you think she's a man?
No, I think she said that she has some type of genetic disease that causes her to produce less estrogen, which results in more testosterone. And that's the reason for some of her features and things that are more manly, because her voice is very deep. And she does have a lot of male characteristics, but of course that could be again from taking certain things, whatever it is. The PEDs that she's taking obviously can cause some things in her body. So
okay,
yeah. But let's jump. We spoke on a little bit about Ryan a minute ago, I think, and word came out that Ryan Garcia is opting to go straight to Gervonta Davis, calling off his fight, which he was labeling a tune-up. Now, out of that, Gervonta Davis responded saying that he thinks Ryan Garcia may be skipping the tune-up because he's juicy. They got into a bit of an argument. And this is pretty interesting wording right here. He said, nah, you're just a bitch, plain and simple, soft-ass little white diva.
That's hilarious. Okay, so I just want to speak on this really quickly. So, as I was stating, man, I don't think this fight's going to happen. Mainly, one thing I do want to say, though, is I hate to be like that, that negative, none of these fights are going to happen. But, bro, like, it's just so many fights that get robbed from us. You know what I mean? But I don't think this fight is going to happen. I don't think Ryan Garcia is serious about fighting Gervonta Davis. I really don't. But I have heard from the grapevine that I think he wants to do 1 or 2 more years in boxing. So he's trying to get as many big fights as possible. And then what he really wants to do is acting, entertaining, things like that. So I don't think the fight's gonna happen, bro. I really don't. I hope it does. I really hope that I'm wrong 100% on it. But if you're asking me about the tune-up, I think Ryan Garcia is probably just maybe doesn't want to take the risk. You know what I mean? Maybe he doesn't want to take the risk of possibly losing. Like fighters have before. It's always somebody who you don't expect to beat you that beats you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So Ryan Garcia could potentially be looking at it like that. Like, why risk an L? When I got Gervonta Davis fight next. So to me, I got no problem with it. I have no problem with it. If you're fighting Gervonta Davis next, if you're fighting him next, as long as he's next, I have no problem with you taking the time off. What Gervonta Davis is saying, though, I don't know. Because at the same time, he has built. There's two things you got to keep in mind. Number one, he was in Canelo's camp, right? And we all know every goddamn fighter from Canelo's camp was coming up positive. So taking that into consideration, seeing the way that he's, his body looks, his physique, it'll make you scratch your head. Like, damn, is this kid really on something? You know what I mean? But at the same time, he's only 23 years old, 24 years old. As you get older, your body gets bigger, it gets more muscular. You know what I mean? You start to have muscles where you didn't before. I don't think he's juicing. I don't think he's juicing.
What about the tweet? What about the tweet? It seems a little disrespectful. Ryan Garcia is Mexican American, but I've seen this a lot. It's a diss towards the light skinned Latinos, calling them white.
Well, to be fair though, Latinos on their census they put white. So to be fair, technically speaking, I guess you could say he is white.
I know. You ever seen Punch Drunk? You ever seen Punch Drunk boxing over on YouTube?
No, never.
Okay, he made a thing today. He was kind of like calling Gervonta Davis a racist, saying that if the roles were to reversed, that it would be all everywhere and everybody be calling Ryan a racist. I'm not. I think that there's a little bit of a difference in that the social norm. I don't think he meant anything racist by it. It was just he deleted it. It's a now deleted tweet. So somebody must have got to him and said, you might want to delete that and then look too.
Yeah, no. But, to me, I don't really see it as like anything racist or anything like that. I don't believe he meant it that way. People are going to take it like that because race is a huge issue, especially in boxing. Boxing and soccer, to me, are the most racially biased sports there could be. And honestly, I don't really have a problem with what he said. I really don't. If the roles were reversed, would people go crazy? Probably. But you also gotta think of it as like, do you think Gervonta Davis meant it in that way? Probably.
Exactly.
Probably. You know what I mean? Technically speaking, Ryan Garcia probably puts on his senses that he's white. You know what I mean? He's pale skinned, just like me. So yeah, that's probably what he meant by it. That's probably what he meant by it. But yeah, bro, I don't think Ryan Garcia is juicing. I don't. I think it's just he's getting older. His body's getting a little bit more built. But like I said, due to the fact that he was with Canelo, and it can make you scratch your head and really ask yourself, like, wow, is this kid really juicing or not?
Agreed. Let's talk about a possible fight that I'm super excited. I hope happens, and that was when the WBO cleared the way for Naoya Inoue to face Stephen Fullerton, cool boy Steph, in a possible move up.
God willing,
that would be an amazing fight. I'm really hoping that happens. Who would you favor that fight? A lot of people.
Sorry, not Inoue. Cool boy.
You take Fulton.
Cool boy all the way. All the way, bro. Listen, Naoya, I love Inoue. I do. I love the guy. I have him on my number 2 pound for pound list, but he has never ever fought or sparred a black person ever in his life. So let's just be real here, bro. Like, blacks dominate the sport of boxing. Blacks and Latinos dominate the sport of boxing. If you look at the list of who people think are the greatest of all time, you get Muhammad Ali, you get Floyd Mayweather, Ray Robinson, Joe Louis. They're all black. You know what I mean? So pretty much this is a sport that's dominated by this race. It's like you can't say you're the best basketball player if you've never played a black guy from the U.S. You know what I mean? It's just I think.
Yeah, but the problem with that is there's not any real greats, especially right now in their weight class from the United States.
Right.
So the best fighters from the world in their weight class are from everywhere else.
Correct. And Nonito Donaire was a very good win. Don't get me wrong, but Donaire was past it. You know what I mean? His best years were in 2014. I think Regan Dow took the best out of him, and he hasn't really been the same ever since.
I can't honestly say that Americans are the best in the sport anymore. You look at the pound for pound rankings, you look at them, there's a whole lot of Eastern Europeans over there. And a whole lot of Eastern Europeans, I would, if I put them in the ring with Americans, they're going to win.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. But I'm talking about overall. Like
Well, I feel you.
since
Yeah,
the sport of boxing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
of course.
chances are, and look at the guys right now, like the up and comers, or not up and comers, but like the young guys that are destined to be great. Devin Haney, Boots Ennis, Shakur Stevenson, you know, all these guys, you know what I mean? They're black.
So you think that the Eastern Europeans are kind of running their course right now? Because they
I
are getting
think,
older. They're good fighters, are getting older.
yeah. I think the Eastern Europeans, the Europeans, they're starting to finally break out of their shell, and they're starting to bring out these really great, amazing fighters. But when you think of these European guys, most of these guys are on their way out. Usyk is 35, something like that. Artur Beterbiev, he's 37. Dimitri Bivol, 31. I mean, so these guys are all on the way out. You know what I mean? Like Bivol still got a lot of years left in him. Usyk is probably maybe realistically got 2 years left in him. Beterbiev, I'm not sure because I think he's the oldest one out of all of them. So these guys are on their way out. The guys that are up and coming now, we don't really, unless my brain is not functioning correctly, I can't think of an up and comer that's Eastern European right now that's, you know, fascinating, like a Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney. Unless you can, I don't know.
No, I agree with you. Like, because I just, when you said that, I kind of felt, you know, I mean, I started thinking about what right now in the pound for pound, you got a lot, you know, you got some.
Right now.
To that point, they are getting older, and a lot of them are starting to move on.
That's what I said. And the new guys that are supposed to take over are, you know, they're all African Americans. So, sorry. So, to answer your question, no, I think boxing will always be dominated by the black race, and the Spanish race being very close second. So, Inoue never sparring or never fighting or even sparring any of them. How do we know he's really that good? You know what I mean? We could.
He beat the best fighters in his weight classes because they're not from America or
right. It's not his fault. It's not his fault by any means. Yeah, it's not his fault.
The, the one thing you can say is he jumped a division that had the big four, Cuadras, you know, Chocolatito Gonzalez, Estrada, and Ruvasai. He jumped over that division and then went and won a title. I still can't blame him because if you look at the top rank, you know, was running that. They had plans for all those guys. Is we're gonna fight these two guys and these two guys, and everything's gonna happen. So they have their own plans for that. He said, "Fuck waiting around. I'm trying to get my greatness," and he went over to another weight class. A lot. Now there are some prognostics. They'll say, "Oh, he ducked them." All right, it is what it is. I still would favor him in a fight. Again, where he's never seen anybody that can move and fight like Fulton. Excuse me. Cool Boy Steph. Cool Boy Steph ain't seen nobody that can go like Inoue either. And Inoue is awfully athletic. I like him more when he's got that little bounce to him. He's bouncing, and he's getting inside and out, and he's fighting defense. And when he puts up his earmuffs and he stands in front of the guy, he better not do that with Cool Boy.
Yeah,
Cool Boy's got a big punch.
Right. To me, you know, I pretty much always, and I'm sure you do the same too. I judge fights based off of styles. You know, I don't really care for resumes. Like, you know, you always get that guy that always asks, "Oh, well, who did he beat? Who did he beat?" You know, and I always say the same thing. Nobody beat anybody until they finally beat somebody. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? So I look at styles, and just based off of the eye test, based off of the style, and being the fact that Fulton is bigger than him, to me is you gotta favor him. You have to. You know, it's not like these guys are you know, identical in size. And to me, the skill, honestly, I think Fulton is much more skilled than Inoue is. I mean, Inoue is not far behind, but to me, it's just based off of the guys that he has fought. He's never fought a skilled, slick fighter like Cool Boy, but then again, Fulton has never fought a guy like Inoue either. But to me, I have to favor Fulton just based off of the eye test, based off of pretty much every statistic. He's bigger, he's longer, he's probably stronger, probably hits harder, you know. And I have to favor Fulton. I mean, how do you see it going?
I got Inoue. I think Inoue is of the two, the bigger puncher. I think his KO percentage shows that.
You know what? You might be right.
I think Inoue is special. And I've enjoyed him, but there is a point where, like, and I wrote this back when Chocolatito became the number one pound for pound fighter, and everybody wanted him to jump up. And I wrote an article called "In Defense of Chocolatito Gonzalez." There's only a certain amount of weight classes that you can expect one of these little dudes. They're not Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao turned freaking professional at the age of, what was he, 13? 15?
Yeah, something like that. He had to
so
put
he
like
had all
quarters in
that
his
time to
pockets just
grow
to make
into
weight.
his effing body.
Yeah.
Chocolatito was like 28 years old, or when they made him freaking number one pound for. He didn't have that, like, just like Inoue. Inoue's not going to keep growing. You don't have them teenage years to go through. He's going to reach a limit, and when he reaches that limit, this is what I don't want him to see him do. Push this kid all the way up. No, you got to move up another way, because you got to move up. You're only great if you move up, and then he moves up and he gets knocked out, and then everybody, then all the naysayers are going to come back and be like, "See, I told you he was overrated. He was a hype job." So. This is for,
no, but
so
to me,
I like him in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said you like.
Yeah, I got Fulton all the way. And honestly, to be honest with you, I don't think it's a close fight, man. I really don't. I think it's I think it's a wash wipe. He might even stop Inoue, to be quite honest with you. To me, Inoue doesn't want any of the Fulton smoke. I don't see any way Inoue, other than stopping him, which I think Fulton is much bigger and probably has a better punch resistance than Inoue does. I don't see Inoue winning that fight, honestly. Like, I got Fulton all the way.
Well, we'll have to have you back on when the fight gets closer. So if
100%, definitely.
If they make it, so there's no guarantee they'll make this fight. It could be all speculation, but it appears to be the plan for the WBO. You make him the super so he can move up and fight. It cleared him. He'll be automatically, I believe, the mandatory if he decides to move up to fight.
Yes, he would be mandatory, absolutely.
Which would be interesting. Well, we were going to get into our other two topics, but it's getting a little bit late. I'll save those for another day. Again, I appreciate you for coming on, man. Once again, tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram, YouTube, or wherever.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on, by the way. And everybody can find me on Instagram as Southpaw, the number 4 Life, Southpaw 4 LIFE 91. TikTok, Southpaw Combat Sports, and on YouTube, Southpaw Combat Sports, man. I appreciate you having me on, brother. Hey, if I don't talk to you, Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Happy that, brother.
I appreciate you, man. All right, that's our show. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, my co-host would jump in with this at some point. But yeah, I'd love to have you back again. We'll come back.
Man. Just hit me up anytime.
I really enjoy your journey, man. Watching you on Instagram. I'm glad you upload those videos. Keep doing that, man. And Merry Christmas to you too, if that's what you celebrate. I appreciate you, bro. And this is Danger Zone Boxing Talk, and we're out, bro.